My boss tried to fire me publicly, so I revealed his deepest secret in front of HR. I sat frozen as Mr. Carter spoke my name in the big meeting room. He said, "And unfortunately, today we must let Alex go for poor performance." The whole room gasped. I had no warning. My hands dropped to my lap. People looked at me like I had done something terrible. My boss pointed to the door and said, "Pack your things." I stood up slowly. My mouth felt dry. I saw the slideshow still on the screen and my work numbers there. I had sent reports last week. I had met every deadline. Someone whispered behind me. HR sat quiet and did not move. I felt the burn of shame crawling up my neck. My boss smiled like he had won. I walked to the back of the room with the box on my desk. My heart kept knocking hard. I pressed record on my phone under the table. "Hi, my name is Alex Lane. Please hit subscribe for more true revenge stories." They called it the humiliation, and it felt worse than any blade. Coworkers shifted and some snickered. Mr. Carter said, "Alex, please don't make this emotional." I heard fake pity. My cheeks burned and my hands shook. A man I trained with stood and left. The office felt cruel. I moved with my box, paper soft under my fingers. I wanted to shout facts. I had emails that showed my work. I wanted to show proof, but I waited. HR watched like statues. I walked past tables, and people stared at their cups. Someone touched my arm and mouthed, "I am sorry." Their eyes were kind but scared. I wanted to run into the hallway and scream until my voice broke. I opened the door and pulled my jacket close. The world felt small and loud. My phone kept the recording. I breathed and promised I would not stay silent. Back in my car, I felt hands tremble as I read a sticky note someone had slipped into my palm. It said, "You need to check your boss's files." My heart jumped. I drove to a coffee shop and sat with my laptop. The office had not warned me. My coworkers had always been quiet heroes. Now whispers filled the hall and made me think. I opened my email, and then the shared drive at home on my laptop. A friend called and said, "This is messed up." I wrote back, "I need proof." Later that day, a woman I barely knew slid into the booth and left a folded paper. Her eyes told me to be careful. "He is dangerous with money," she whispered. She gave no name. My hands felt cold. I had to act right but slow. If I rushed, I could lose what little truth I had. I packed a bag with thumb drives and a small flashlight. I planned to dig where the whispers pointed. I found the first false claim the next morning. Mr. Carter had told the meeting I missed deadlines. I sat in a diner and opened my work email. The proof was clear. I had receipts and timestamps. I printed the emails on a napkin and read them again. One message said I had sent the final report 2 days before his deadline. I felt a cold flash of anger. A coworker had mouthed he's lying during the meeting, and now I knew why. Someone had put words into my boss's mouth. I checked the shared calendar and saw my tasks marked complete. I thought of the note and the woman at the booth. My phone buzzed with a message. He edited the files. The words stunned me. If Mr. Carter had changed records, he had planned this. I folded my napkin pages and slid them into my bag. The diner music felt loud and foolish. I pledged then to follow the trail wherever it led. I remembered nights I stayed late to fix the small things no one noticed. My hands had typed reports while the office lights dimmed. I carried folders to the printer at midnight. I helped new hires learn the system, and I covered calls when someone was sick. I had been the first to arrive on many project launches. My boss praised me in private and then smiled in front of others. In my memory, the team counted on me and I kept the work moving. I thought of the time I stayed 3 weekends to meet a client deadline. I thought of the small gifts from coworkers at Christmas. I felt a slow burn of loss and betrayal. How could he throw away years of effort with one public speech? I pressed my palm to the window and watched rain blur the street. I heard the sticky note crinkle in my bag. The whispers had become a plan. My voice felt small, but the plan felt larger. The next day at lunch, Mr. Carter joked loud enough for the whole office to hear. "Maybe Alex will finally get some sleep after this." A few of his favorites laughed too hard. My stomach twisted. I stood near the hallway, holding my water bottle like a shield. I felt a hot sting inside my chest. I wanted to yell, but I kept my lips tight. No one stopped him. No one asked if I was okay. The joke wasn't funny. It was meant to crush me. I walked out before they saw my shaking hands. My box from yesterday still sat in my car. I ran my fingers over the edge and tried to control my breath. I didn't say a word to him or anyone else. I drove home with music low, mind racing. Something was wrong, much bigger than a firing. Someone wanted me gone. Completely gone. And the more I thought about his smirk, the more certain I felt. He wasn't done with me yet. Later that night, my screen lit up with a message from a coworker I trusted. She wrote, "He's trying to blame you for something he did." I can't say more yet. My heart thumped hard. The words looked scared, like she typed them fast. I asked what she meant, but she didn't answer again. I stared at the message until my vision blurred. What had he done? And why choose me to carry the blame? I pulled out all my reports for the last 2 months. Everything looked clean. No errors. No missing files. My phone buzzed again, but this time it was only a news alert. I almost threw it across the room from nerves. I walked to the window and looked at the empty street. If she was scared, then this went deeper than I thought. I whispered to myself, "What are you hiding, Carter?" My hands shook less now. Fear had turned into something sharper, determination. The next morning, I emailed HR asking for a meeting. They replied almost right away. "We're reviewing." Reviewing what? I asked for a simple meeting. Their second reply came slower, colder. "We will reach out when ready." No smiley faces. No names. Just words that felt like stone. I walked into the office anyway, hoping to corner someone. The HR team sat inside their glass room, shuffling papers without looking up. When I stood at the door, one of them pretended to cough. Another stared at her laptop so hard it looked painful. No one made eye contact. I felt a strange twist inside me. They were scared too. Or hiding something. I walked away before anyone could call security. My hands felt cold again, but my mind sharpened. If HR wouldn't help me, then HR wasn't neutral. They knew something. Maybe they were even helping him. The thought made my breath stop for a second. "Fine," I whispered. "I'll find the truth myself." At home, I tried logging into my work email, expecting it to be locked. But it wasn't. My access was still active. Strange. I opened my sent messages and froze. They were forwarded emails I never wrote. All of them sent to Mr. Carter. Each one blamed me for missing deadlines, losing files, or messing up budget sheets. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, shaking. Someone had been sending lies in my name, and only Carter had the power to do that. I checked the timestamps. Many were sent late at night when I was asleep. Some during meetings I had proof I attended. Whoever forged them didn't even try to match my writing style. I felt my heart drop into my stomach. This wasn't carelessness. This was a setup. A big one. I screenshotted everything and saved it to a hidden folder on my laptop. Someone was rewriting my work history. Someone wanted my name ruined. And now I knew exactly who. I stared at the growing pile of evidence and felt something change inside me. All week I had felt like prey. Now I felt like something else entirely. I whispered into the quiet room, "You want a public show? I'll give you one." My voice shook, but not from fear, something more powerful. I pulled out every email, every file, every screenshot. I made copies. I stored them on 2 USBs and a cloud folder he couldn't touch. My small kitchen table became a war map. I circled names, drew lines, marked dates. I remembered the sticky note, the whisper, the message warning me, the office jokes, HR's silence. It all formed a picture now, sharp and ugly. Mr. Carter wanted me out, so he could hide something. And he thought I would walk away, quietly. But he didn't know me. Not really. I closed my laptop and whispered, "Let's see who walks out quietly in the end." I opened the shared drive again and clicked through folders I had never touched before. One at the bottom caught my eye, archive_2022. It looked old and harmless, but when I opened it, my breath caught. Inside were project files with my name on them, except the numbers were wrong, the reports were messy, and the comments said things like unfinished and missing steps. None of this was real. I clicked the info tab and saw the metadata. Edited by Carter J. Edited date, last week. My skin prickled. He had made fake mistakes and pinned them on me. I scrolled farther and found more altered files, all showing me as careless. But I remembered each of these projects. I had completed them perfectly. I opened one document and saw a small line at the bottom. "Please fix, Alex." He wrote that to himself. A fake message to make it look like I ignored him. I closed the folder slowly. Now I knew the trap had started long before the meeting. My next clue came from the budget. I found a file marked Team Expenses Q3. I clicked it and almost dropped my mouse. Under my name was a charge of $40,000 labeled Miscellaneous Professional Costs. My chest tightened. I had never seen this amount before. Never approved anything that high. I dug deeper and found scanned receipts. Hotel stays, dinners, expensive flights, all signed A. Lane, my name. But the signature wasn't mine. It looked like someone drew it in a rush. The dates matched the times Mr. Carter had been traveling for leadership meetings. My face heated as anger grew. He used my name to cover his luxury trips. I checked the approval trail. His initials were there. Bold, clear, and confident. He really thought no one would look. I printed everything and slid it into a folder. My hands shook, but my mind felt bright and sharp. He stole money, forged my name, and planned to blame me for it. This wasn't just firing. This was framing. That evening, 2 coworkers asked me to meet them behind the parking garage. The air smelled like cold metal and rain. They both looked scared. "We shouldn't be talking," one whispered. "But you need to know something." They told me that last month Mr. Carter had been pacing his office, slamming drawers, snapping at everyone. He kept saying the budget review would ruin everything, and that someone needs to take the fall. My stomach tightened. "We knew he meant you," the quieter coworker said. "He started checking your files every night." Then they handed me a USB drive. We copied some things before he locked everything down. Their eyes darted around like we were being watched. I held the drive tight in my hand. "Why help me?" I asked softly. They looked down. "Because what he's doing is wrong. And you didn't deserve any of it." They left quickly, not wanting to be seen. I walked to my car gripping the USB like a lifeline. At home, I plugged in the USB, half afraid of what I'd see. It held a folder named Audio. I clicked the first file. Mr. Carter's voice filled my room. I overspent again. "I'll fix it later." Then another clip. "I'll build a conference to Alex. She's too quiet to fight." My chest burned as I listened. He joked about hiding charges, complained that audits were annoying. In one recording he said, "If this blows up, Alex takes the fall. She doesn't even know half the things I attach her to." My fingers curled tight around my headphones. This was proof, strong proof. I played another clip of him admitting he misbilled a trip to me. His voice sounded smug, confident, like he believed he was untouchable. I saved copies to every safe place I could think of. Cloud, USB, my old laptop. I sat back on my chair breathing hard. He had dug his own grave with his own mouth. And now I had the shovel. The next morning, I woke to an email from an HR employee named Mia. Her message said, "You should request a recorded meeting. Trust me." My heart jumped. Was she on my side? A minute later, she sent a calendar invite titled Employee Review. No details, no notes, just a time and room number. I felt the warning inside it. She wanted me to trap him, legally. I replied yes and printed more evidence. My folder was starting to bulge. I dressed slowly, choosing steady colors, blue and gray. Colors that made me feel calm. At work, the office felt tense like everyone knew something was coming. I saw Mia pass by and she gave me the smallest nod, like a secret signal. I held the folder against my chest. Today I would face HR again, but this time not as a broken employee. This time I came prepared. The truth sat heavy in my hands, and I knew the moment to use it was getting close. I spent the afternoon digging through old folders on my laptop, trying to find anything Mr. Carter thought he deleted. I opened my sent folder and clicked Show Deleted Items. A long list appeared, messages I didn't remove. One email made my breath stop. It was a warning I had sent him months ago about the budget slipping. I had written, "We need to slow spending or we'll pass the limit." He had replied, "Noted," but that reply was gone. Someone had deleted it. More emails show the same pattern. I warned him, he ignored me. Then he erased the messages to make it look like I never said a word. My hands shook as I recovered them, screenshot them, and saved them. The truth was clearer now. He hadn't just blamed me, he had built a whole story to make me look careless. As I watched the emails return to my screen, I whispered, "You messed with the wrong person." And for the first time all week, I felt strong. Later that night, I received an anonymous email. The subject line read, "You're not the first." My heart raced. Inside was a short message. He did the same thing to someone last year. They left quietly. Attached were files, old reports, warnings, and a complaint letter from an employee I didn't know. The letter said Mr. Carter had framed them for a budget mistake he made. HR closed the case and the worker resigned. My stomach twisted. He had practiced on someone else before me. He had gotten away with it. The anonymous sender wrote, "I'm scared to be seen, but I hope this helps you." I saved every file. I wondered where that person was now. Did they ever heal? Did they know someone else was fighting the same battle? I pressed my hand to my forehead. If I didn't stop him, he would ruin another person next. That thought angered me more than anything he had done to me. The next morning, I checked the audit folder, the one only managers could access. But my login still worked. Inside, I found a half-finished audit from last quarter. The auditor had written notes like, "Numbers unclear," missing receipts, and suspicious charges, all beside Mr. Carter's projects. At the bottom was a red comment, "Possible fund misallocation. Needs review." It was dated 3 months ago. He had hidden this. He didn't finish the audit or report it. Instead, he shifted eyes away from himself by blaming me. My throat tightened as I scrolled. The missing amounts lined up with the fake charges under my name, almost perfectly. I saved the files with new names, so he couldn't delete them remotely. I leaned back in my chair and breathed slow. He wasn't just dishonest. He was desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. I closed the laptop softly. I had enough proof to make the walls close in on him. Now I needed the last piece. That afternoon, a coworker texted me, "You need to see this." She sent a photo. My eyebrows lifted. It was Mr. Carter at a beautiful beach resort, sunglasses on, drink in hand. The kind of place people save for years to visit. The caption read, "Client meeting," but the timestamp gave him away. It matched the date on the $40,000 budget file. The date he said I approved. He wasn't working, he was on vacation. My chest rose and fell, anger mixing with relief. This was the missing link connecting the budget theft, the forged signatures, and the false emails. I saved the photo and backed it up 10 times. I felt something inside me settle, like puzzle pieces snapping into place. Now I had everything: money trail, edited files, lies, forgery, audio recordings. Proof stacked higher than fear. I held the photo long on my screen and whispered, "You're done, Carter." And for the first time, I believed it. When evening came, I sat at my kitchen table with a folder thick as a book. Inside it was the full story of his lies. Every trick, every forgery, every stolen dollar. I ran my hand over the cover and breathed deeply. "If he wanted to ruin my reputation," I said softly, "I'll return the favor with the truth." I laid out my plan. First, the HR meeting. Second, the evidence drop. Third, the public reveal. I knew the meeting would be recorded because Mia told me. That meant everything he said would be on file forever. I imagined his face when he realized I had more proof than he ever expected. I placed the USB drives in my bag. I practiced steady breathing the way my mom taught me as a kid. My fear had burned away and left something iron hard. Tomorrow, I would walk into HR with calm steps and a storm in my hands. The real battle was finally here. I arrived early for the HR meeting. The hallway smelled like new carpet and cold air. I clutched my folder and sat near the window, breathing slow. When Mia walked in, she looked around before coming close. She whispered, "This meeting is being recorded, right?" I asked. She nodded once. "Yes, and that's why today matters. Good luck." Her voice was soft but strong. My heart beat hard in my chest. The door opened, and I saw the long table where everything would happen. I took a seat at the far end, so I could see everyone's faces. My hands rested on my laptop ready. The other HR members sat stiff, pretending nothing strange was happening. But I saw the tension in their shoulders. They knew something big was coming. I folded my hands and waited. Soon Mr. Carter would walk in, ready to finish what he started. But he didn't know I had everything he feared most, the truth. A few minutes later, Mr. Carter strode in with a smug smile. He sat across from me like he owned the room. "Let's finalize Alex's termination," he said loudly, as if practicing a speech. He adjusted his tie and leaned back in his chair. His confidence almost made me laugh. HR nodded slowly, but I saw confusion in their eyes. They didn't know why he seemed so sure. He pulled out a thick envelope and tapped it on the table. "All documents are ready," he said. He didn't even look at me. I felt no fear now, only focus. The recording light blinked red on the wall. Everything he said would be saved. Everything I revealed soon would be too. He sat forward suddenly. "Alex, do you have anything to say before we close this matter?" I opened my laptop with calm hands. His smile faded just a little. "Not enough. Not yet." The room felt still, like the moment before a storm breaks. I took a slow breath and said, "Actually, today I'm presenting evidence." The room froze. HR looked up sharply. Mr. Carter blinked and sputtered. "Evidence of what?" I didn't answer him. Instead, I clicked Start Presentation. The screen lit up with the first slide. The red recording light blinked again, brighter this time. "This is not a defense," I said. "This is the truth." Mia folded her hands and leaned in. The other HR rep stopped typing. Mr. Carter forced a smile. "Alex, this isn't appropriate. You made it appropriate," I said calmly. His eyes widened a bit. He hadn't expected my voice to be steady. He hadn't expected me to fight at all. I clicked to the next slide, feeling power rise in my chest. "Today," I said, "we're going to look at the real timeline." HR nodded for me to continue. Mr. Carter's hand tightened around his pen. I watched his face pale slowly. The storm had started. The first slide showed a list of forwarded emails he claimed I sent. Except each one was traced back to his account. I zoomed in on the metadata. "These were sent at times I wasn't even awake," I said. "And all from Mr. Carter's device." HR leaned forward, whispering to each other. Mr. Carter's jaw tightened. "This doesn't prove anything," he said weakly. I clicked again. The screen displayed more forged messages. Some had spelling mistakes he always made, not me. Others were copied from old drafts I never touched. The HR director frowned. "This looks deliberate." Mr. Carter tried to laugh. "Maybe Alex misunderstood." "No," I said, voice firm. "I understand perfectly." The room felt heavier. HR began writing notes. Mr. Carter dapped his forehead with his sleeve. I kept going. "You framed me with digital lies," I said softly. "But computers don't lie when you check the history." His eyes darted to the door. "Trapped." I clicked to the next slide, Altered Performance Reports. "These were changed after approval," I explained. "By you." Metadata glowed on the screen, showing his username. HR gasped softly. I opened the folder with the fake mistakes he planted under my name. "These files were edited last week," I said, "even though the projects were finished months ago." Mr. Carter's voice cracked. "This is taken out of context." HR shook their heads. "No," the director said. "This looks intentional." I felt the shift in the room, finally turning toward me. Still, I wasn't done. I pulled out printed spreadsheets showing the $40,000. "Here," I said, sliding them across the table. "Money charged under my name. But the receipts point to you." Mr. Carter went pale, like all the color drained from him. HR whispered quickly, eyes wide. The tension grew, so thick it felt like a second ceiling. And that was only the beginning. My real revenge was just starting. I clicked again, showing the missing budget trail. "These are the luxury charges," I said. "Hotel rooms, flights, dinners." HR studied the receipts closely. "These are signed with Alex's name," one whispered, "but the handwriting doesn't match." I nodded, "Because I didn't sign them." Then I zoomed in on the approval stamp. His initials sat bold and sharp. The room grew quiet. Mr. Carter pressed his lips together like they were glued shut. "It must be a mix-up," he muttered. I didn't slow down. "There's more," I said. I showed the scan bills from the resort trip. The same weekend, he said I approved a budget change. HR members gasped. One wrote, so fast her pen squeaked. "These charges line up with missing funds flagged in the audit," I added. Mr. Carter swallowed hard. HR exchanged long, heavy looks. The truth was spreading in the room like fire, and he couldn't stop it. Then I pulled up the resort photo. His face at the beach filled the screen, sunglasses on, drink in hand. This was billed as a client meeting, I said, but the timestamp proves it was a vacation. Mr. Carter squeaked. It was research. I raised an eyebrow. HR didn't bite either. They muttered to each other, shaking their heads. This is serious misuse of company funds, the HR director said. His voice was low and careful, like holding anger back. I felt a strange calm spread in my chest. For the first time since all this began, I wasn't the one shrinking in my chair. He was. I clicked again, showing another angle of the same resort with a signature on the expense sheet. His fingers trembled on the table. You can't prove I faked her name, he whispered. Actually, I said, I can. I slid the handwriting comparison across the table. HR marked something on their clipboard. His eyes widened with fear. I moved to the audio recordings next. I clicked play. His voice filled the room. I'll pin everything on Alex. She's quiet, she won't fight. No one breathed. HR's jaws dropped. Mr. Carter's hands flew to his face. This is illegal to record, not in our state, I said calmly. Another clip played. I'll bill the conference to her. She won't even know. HR stared at him like they were seeing a stranger. Or a criminal. He tried to stand, but his knees wobbled. Turn it off, he snapped. Stop this. I didn't. I played the clip where he bragged about hiding budget errors. His own words betrayed him over and over. Finally, he slammed his hand on the table. This meeting is over. No, the HR director said firmly. You will sit down. He obeyed. For the first time, I watched the fear in his eyes and felt something inside me rise. Justice. Sharp and bright. Next, I displayed the deleted emails. These messages prove I warned him about the overspending, I said. He erased his replies to make it look like I never said anything. HR leaned closer. He told us Alex never raised concerns, one whispered. I nodded. He lied. I clicked through each email slowly, letting the words sink in. Mr. Carter rubbed his forehead and muttered, This is being twisted. The HR director frowned. Twisted by who? Mr. Carter didn't answer. I showed the half-finished audit next. The auditor called this suspicious. He hid the report. HR whispered again, their faces hardening. I could see the moment their belief shifted, when they understood that he hadn't just made mistakes. He had built a whole story of lies to protect himself and destroy me. Everything he accused me of, I said softly, he actually did. Mr. Carter stared at the table. His shoulders sank. He looked small now. Very small. The final set of files came from the anonymous email. He framed another employee last year, I explained. They left quietly. They never got justice. HR flipped through the documents with tense hands. This is a pattern, one whispered. A dangerous one. Mr. Carter's face turned red. You don't know what happened, he said, voice cracking. Maybe they really messed up. Like I did? I asked. Silence dropped heavy over the room. I showed the patterns in the documents. The same fake mistakes, same change numbers, same false blame. The HR director sighed. This paints a very clear picture, he said. Mr. Carter trembled, slightly. He knew it too. This wasn't just one mistake. It was years of abuse, hidden behind smiles and speeches. I placed my hands together. I didn't come here to attack him, I said. I came to protect everyone else from him. HR stared at him with cold eyes. He flinched. His kingdom was falling. I closed my laptop and looked straight at HR. I didn't come to defend myself, I said quietly. I came to stop him from hurting anyone else again. The room fell silent. Mr. Carter's breathing turned quick and shaky. HR exchanged slow, serious looks. One of them finally spoke. Mr. Carter, please step outside while we review this. His head snapped up. What? No. You can't. Now, she repeated. He stood, wobbling a little, and shot me a look filled with anger and fear mixed together. I held his gaze without blinking. He slammed the door behind him, shaking the wall. The HR director let out a long breath. Alex, she said, this is overwhelming evidence. We need a few minutes. I nodded and folded my hands. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. Everything I had been holding inside, fear, shame, confusion, slowly melted into a strange calm. The truth was finally louder than his lies. And now they would decide his fate. The door opened again after what felt like an hour, though it was maybe 5 minutes. HR walked in with firm faces. "Alex," the director said, "you are reinstated effective immediately." My breath caught. She continued, "And Carter is terminated for misconduct, fraud, and manipulation of company records." The words felt unreal, like reading a book about someone else. They added, "Security is escorting him out now." I turned my head just in time to see him through the glass wall. He was yelling, but no one cared. 2 guards walked beside him while he pointed back toward the meeting room. His face was red, wet angry. He looked at me as they led him away. Pure hatred, pure shock, pure defeat. I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't smile. I only watched him disappear down the hall. HR sat back down. "Alex," one said softly, "thank you for being brave." I nodded once. Justice had landed. Hard. When I walked back into the office, the reaction stunned me. People looked up from their desks with wide eyes. Someone whispered, "She's back." Another said, "Did it work?" Then someone clapped. Then another. Soon the whole room filled with soft cheers, the kind people make when they're scared but hopeful. A coworker hurried over and hugged me tightly. "You saved us," she whispered. We all knew something was wrong. My inbox pinged with a new email. It was from the CEO's office, asking for a private meeting later that day. My stomach fluttered. Was I in trouble? Or being thanked? Before I could think about it, more coworkers came by my desk. They touched my shoulder, handed me candy, whispered small brave things. One said, "We've been waiting for someone to stand up to him." Their care warmed me more than any victory. For the first time in days, I felt like I wasn't fighting alone. Later, HR called me back in. They sat with gentle smiles this time. "We'd like to offer you Carter's position as interim manager," the director said. My mouth fell open. "Me?" She nodded. "Your leadership, calm thinking, and honesty are exactly what this team needs right now." I felt a slow wave of emotion rise in my chest. Strange. Warm, almost like pride. But I also felt tired. "Can I think about it?" I asked quietly. "Of course," they said. "Take your time." I walked out of the room holding the offer letter. The hallway felt brighter than before. People smiled when they passed me. A quiet voice inside me whispered, "You earned this." Still, I didn't want to rush. I wanted to make the right choice, not jump into a role because of anger or pressure. I sat at my desk, reading the offer again. It felt heavy but possible. For the first time, I really saw a future that wasn't built on fear. The next few days were filled with cleanup. HR and I spent hours going through files, repairing documents he had altered. We checked audits, emails, budgets, everything he touched. With each corrected file, the truth became even clearer. He had lied more than anyone guessed. HR found hidden folders, half-finished audits, fake messages, and old complaints he buried. "Unbelievable," one HR rep muttered. "He did this for years." I felt tired but steady. Every file I fixed felt like washing dirt out of something that deserved to shine. The company was hurting, but it was healing too. When we finally finished the last folder, HR sighed and said, "We're preparing a public statement." I nodded. Good. People need to know. As I walked back to my desk, I felt lighter. The mess he made was finally out in the open. And the truth, my truth, was no longer hidden in email folders or whispered warnings. It stood in daylight now. The company released the public statement 2 days later. It explained everything. My name was cleared, the truth about the forged emails, the stolen budget, the fake reports. It said plainly that Mr. Carter had abused his role and harmed employees. When the announcement went live, coworkers began sharing it online with kind notes. People I hardly knew messaged me saying, "I'm glad you fought back, and you deserved better." For the first time, I saw the story from the outside, me standing up against someone who thought he was untouchable. It felt strange but good. Even former employees reached out, saying they had suspected things for years. The truth spread fast, brighter than any lie he created. I sat at my desk and read each message slowly. The company had stood behind me. The world now knew he framed me. I felt my chest loosen, like a heavy rope had been cut. His shadow no longer reached me. Later, Mia from HR stopped by my desk. She looked calmer now, not tense like before. Alex, she said softly, I'm sorry for not speaking sooner. We suspected something was wrong, but we needed proof. Thank you for bringing it. I nodded. Thank you for warning me, I said. She smiled a little. You were brave. Most people would have walked away. I didn't feel brave. I felt tired, but hearing her say it made something warm fill my chest. She rested her hand on my shoulder. You helped this whole company. You saved a lot of people from getting hurt later. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded again. She left, and I sat in silence for a moment. The office felt different now, safer, lighter. For the first time, I could breathe without wondering who was watching me or what trap waited behind a file. My truth was out, and people finally saw it. That Friday, the team invited me out for drinks. I almost said no, but they insisted. You deserve a night to celebrate, one coworker said. We gathered at a small restaurant near the office. The lights were warm, and people laughed softly. They bought me a round of food and toasted to the bravest person in the building. I blushed, but I smiled too. Someone clinked their glass and said, You should lead us permanently. We trust you. Others nodded. I looked around the table at all the faces, kind, hopeful, relieved. They wanted someone steady, someone honest. I thought about the long nights, the evidence gathering, the fear, the fight. And then I thought about the future, a clean start without lies. I leaned back in my chair, breathing in the warm air. For once, the world felt gentle. Their words echoed in my mind long after the dinner ended. Let us. Maybe I really could. On Monday morning, I walked into HR with my decision. I accept the leadership role, I said. Their faces lit up. They handed me a welcome packet and shook my hand. I felt nervous but ready. When I walked into the office as the new manager, everyone stood and clapped. I almost cried. I promised the team, no more secrets, no more fear. We will work honestly and openly from now on. People smiled. Some even teared up. I felt strong standing there, not because of power, but because of trust. I spent the rest of the day setting new rules for reporting, fairness, and transparency. This time, no one would be able to hide lies or hurt others in silence. As the sun began to set outside the windows, I realized something. I wasn't just fixing the mess he made. I was building something better, something my coworkers deserved. That night, as I packed my bag, I looked at the empty chair where Mr. Carter once sat. The office felt peaceful now, like it could finally breathe. I whispered the final truth of my story. My boss tried to fire me publicly, so I revealed what he was really doing, publicly. I turned off the lights and stood by the window for a moment. The city glowed outside, soft and calm. I smiled. Turns out, I said, the truth is stronger than any title. I closed the door behind me, not as the scared woman who walked into the meeting that awful day, but as someone who had fought back and won. My steps felt lighter going down the hall. Justice wasn't loud or cruel. It was simple, clear, honest. And in the end, it belonged to me. If you love the story, make sure you hit subscribe for more true revenge stories.